When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Your dining room is the heart of your home, where meals are shared and memories are made. At Ashley, you'll find affordable dining furniture in a range of classic and modern styles. Ashley's small space sets and extendable tables are designed to fit beautifully into any space, from cozy breakfast nooks and kitchens to formal dining areas fit for a feast. And with mix-and-match seating options, everyone at your table gets the perfect seat. At Ashley, style is served. Shop in-store or online today.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. It is Sunday, October 6th. Kristen and I are here to talk about some interesting results in the second round of the WNBA playoffs. We've got some news to go through, some awards. But before we get into it, Kristen, what's up? How are we doing?
I think I'm pretty surprised. I wasn't expecting today's results. Both games, I think, went differently than I thought. So Here we are, still have one game left of the semifinals. And then we'll start next week with the Liberty and whoever wins of the Lynx and Sun.
Kristen and I thought that, or hoped that, we would be able to close out the second round before we went away, because we're going on a trip and we won't be able to correctly wrap up this Sun Lynx series to know who's going to make it to the final. Because again, we both picked Lynx in 4. It's going to be a game 5 on Tuesday. So that's exciting. And there's a lot of implications, and we'll get into all of it. And the Sun really came out today and backed it up. But yeah, and the Aces go out in 4 when we were expecting Aces Liberty to go 5. So again, like Kristen said, things were not as we expected, but that's okay. Sometimes things play out differently. Again, before we get into the game details, we're going to talk a little bit about awards and some corrections on our expansion draft podcast. We've got a better timeline to explain how everything works. But if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for listening to the show. Happy to have you. You can connect with us if you'd like at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on our Twitter at @ATBpod_. So now that that's out of the way, I mentioned our expansion draft. We talked about this in our emergency podcast after we had details about the Valkyries. And we talked about this idea that a team could protect 6 and then core a 7th, and we didn't exactly understand how the coring worked and did a little more research, corrected ourselves. We figured it out. So that coring process is only done on a protected UFA by one of their teams. So it's not, there's no idea, there's no concept that you can, protect 6 and then core 7th. Not how it works.
Well, it happens after, that's the thing.
Correct.
The coring happens way after any of this is happening.
Right. So we lay out that schedule. The season's going to be over at the latest October 20th. That will be the last possible finals game if it goes to 5. And we know that the teams will then submit their protections 10 days before the expansion draft, which is on the 6th of December. So teams are being submitted on the 26th-ish, 27th of November. And then literally 4 or 5 days after that, based on how it was last year, we'll do the lottery. So the lottery will not be decided before the expansion draft. And then it's in early January that a team is allowed to core a player. So that sort of changes how we understand all of this coring in the league. It won't be happening before. You can't just do it in November or in December. And then after that, the end of January is when free agents are able to sign their contracts. So that's when these free agent players will be, agreeing to deals with their various teams if they're on new teams or with the Valkyries. The draft will take place in March, and the season will start again in April.
Okay. And I would just like more information about all this. We're kind of just like in the medieval times at this point, trying to like get any sort of communication about this sort of stuff. It just seems like they never had to give as many details in the past, I guess, because not as many people were asking. I don't know. But, and they haven't done this expansion sort of thing since 2008. So we're figuring it out. Accounts are tweeting more details and clarifying things every day. So, but that seems to be the timeline.
Yes. So just like, slight corrections. 99% of what we talked about in that pod is pretty evergreen. So go back and listen to that. I really encourage you if you want details about how that expansion works and it's all in one place. That's a place to go. I know people have really been enjoying that episode, and I think it's great. So that's that. That's where we are in expansion. We'll talk more about that in the off season. It's going to be an exciting time. But let's wrap up the league's awards, which have all been announced in this past week. It was basically like every day they were announcing 2 awards instead of like stretching it out. Like, no, we're just going to like give them all to you at once. So just to go down the list, obviously, A'ja Wilson, we knew, unanimous MVP, the second in the league's history. Pretty sweet for A'ja, even though her team gets tossed today. It's great. She had a prolific season, the first 1,000-point scorer in league history. Pretty sweet. So good for A'ja. Caitlin Clark, 66 votes to win Rookie of the Year compared to Angel Reese's 1. She is not a unanimous Rookie of the Year, but she is the Rookie of the Year. So congratulations, Caitlin. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Dearica Hamby, who is embroiled in a interesting legal battle with the Aces.
That's kind of interesting. That's kind of like, I'm suing you. I mean, yeah, she seems like a great sport.
Right. A great sport in lawsuits as well.
It just seems like they wouldn't want to do that, but okay. But I guess it's, it's
she's not suing the
stuff.
league.
Kinda.
It's like I don't know, I guess a degree away from the league itself.
Yeah.
She's not suing like Kathy Engelbert. She might as well be. Coach of the Year, Cheryl Reeve. Not surprising. DPOY, also from the Lynx, Nafisa Collier. Not surprising. Most Improved goes to Dejanay Carrington, a player that we very much discussed in that role. So that was exciting to see. Kennedy didn't exactly perform as we might have expected in that voting. I think she got 5 first-place votes, but it was pretty much a runaway for Dejanay.
Well, she didn't play last year. Kennedy.
Right. So she's improving from 0.
2 years ago.
Right. And 6th Player of the Year, Tiff Hayes of the Vegas Aces, who was pretty good in that series. Obviously, she had retired, came out of retirement to be that pop off the bench that the team needed, and she certainly earned her award there. So exciting for Tiffany Hayes.
Yeah, that's really cool for her. I mean, yeah, right. She retired. She wasn't on the Aces. She retired. The Aces find out Candace Parker's not coming back pretty late into the off season. They say, what do we do? And they go ask Tiffany Hayes if she's willing to come out of retirement. So she kind of has like gigantic shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And I think she deserves it, her 6th Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely helped keep the team afloat during that, period of time where Chelsea Gray, they were waiting for her to come back. And, and if she retires again, it's cool to come back and get an award on the way out. So congratulations to Tiffany Hayes. We have some all defensive teams as well as our all rookie team. And the only thing we're waiting on here in the awards is the all W team, which we could probably guess, but we're not going to. We'll just wait and see what the announcement is. All rookies, Caitlin Clark, Camila Cardoso, Angel Reese, Rickea Jackson, and Leonie Phoebish, who we will talk about pretty extensively over the next half an hour. And then the all defensive teams, we'll start with the second team. You have Alyssa Thomas, Alana Smith, Nneka Ogwumike, Jonquel Jones, and Natasha Cloud. And then, of course, to top it off, the all defensive first team, Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, Icy Magbagor, Dejanay Carrington, and Brianna Stewart.
Yeah, not having Alyssa Thomas on the first team is like really surprising to me. And like I get you can't just make the whole team forwards.
Right, forward and bigs.
She's one of the best defenders.
She showed that today
Absolutely.
in spades. But yeah, I personally would have, made sure that AT was in the team. But I don't know. Dejanay got a lot of attention this year. She played a lot of games. She was clearly the best defensive guard in the league. So I guess they want to just make sure we get a guard representation in, even though it's more, I feel like it's more positionless than the NBA, which sometimes struggles with that. But yeah, I mean, tough for AT to not be in the first team for sure. But, I'm sure she doesn't care. I'm sure she really doesn't care. I'm sure she just wants a championship.
Yeah.
And she's got a shot to push for that. But before we get into the details of round 2, I do just want to shout out a friend of the podcast, Jay, who sent us an email to say that in the New York Liberty Vegas Aces game 2, I believe, we have a recording, and I'm not going to play it here, but I have it. So in perpetuity, I always know that it's going to happen. Rebecca Lobo says, attacking the baseline for the first time since watching the WNBA, we finally hear an announcer say the name of the pod, and they should do it more often because players do it every single game. So shout out to Rebecca Lobo for saying the name. We love that.
I thought Ryan Rucco.
It was not Ryan Rucco. At first I thought it was Ryan Rucco until I went back and found the clip. And I was like, oh, Rebecca Lobo says, attacking the baseline. So shout out to Rebecca Lobo. Appreciate you. So now I think it's time to get in to our games and how our second round is wrapping up.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Your dining room is the heart of your home, where meals are shared and memories are made. At Ashley, you'll find affordable dining furniture in a range of classic and modern styles. Ashley's small space sets and extendable tables are designed to fit beautifully into any space, from cozy breakfast nooks and kitchens to formal dining areas fit for a feast. And with mix-and-match seating options, everyone at your table gets the perfect seat. At Ashley, style is served. Shop in-store or online today.
Okay, let's talk about a eulogy to a two-time consecutive WNBA champ as the New York Liberty knock out the Vegas Aces today. What are some of your initial takeaways about how the series went?
Well, it was obviously rough for the Aces. I think so New York had home field advantage. They won 2 in New York. And to me, that's not anything crazy. I was hearing, the Aces should have won in New York. I'm like, that seems just hard to do, especially one of the first 2 games. So, but they came close to winning the second game. That one was much more competitive than the first. And the third game was like incredible by the Aces. Yes. Completely shutting down Sabrina Ionescu, who was, I would say, the MVP of this series for New York. I think she only had 4 points in the third game. Right. So that seemed, like it was going well, and the Aces had the momentum back in their favor. But this game was they just never could get over the hump. They could never take the lead. I think a big part of it was Kia Stokes. Yeah. Got a concussion. In game 2. Missed like half of game 2 and games 3 and 4. And like, while she was not a huge part of the offense, they needed more defense on Stewie, Jonquel Jones, and Leonie Fibish. Both of which are just like way taller than so many of the Aces guards. Right. So something that we said was, after the first game, we were saying, oh, Kia Stokes needs to be more impactful in this game. And then they started Tiffany Hayes.
No, they started Alicia Clark.
They started Alicia Clark. We were like, oh, that's going the opposite direction in terms of height. So it was just like a lot of mismatches in terms of the defense. I think they couldn't shut down Sabrina enough, and that just ended up biting them.
Yeah, and from what I saw, game one was pretty, like, it was wire to wire for New York. They never lost the lead. They picked on Chelsea Gray. They picked on Jackie Young, who, like, if you look at the box score, Jackie Young scored, but you brought up the size that New York has, the clear advantage when you have a player like Fibish who led the team in plus minus in the series, a rookie, having such an impact. There was no player that Vegas had that could like counter the impact that Fibish brought to, and I think that was to the surprise of even like a Sandy Brondello, who was very smart. We saw in Atlanta, like, Fibish gets the start over Sloot, and Sloot has been, giving them juice off of the bench, but like having Fibish, who's a really impressive knockdown shooter, like the perfect role player. It's everything that New York could ask for and more. And like I said, Vegas just doesn't have an answer for that. And Game 2 was a good game. 88-84. We see Becky Hammond go to Alicia Clark, like we mentioned. And I'll admit, when I saw that, I was like, we're gonna do that? Like, that's gonna be the move? And it made me look like a fool, because Alicia Clark had 8 of the first 10 points for the Aces. Yeah. Knocking down shots, looking good, hitting cuts. But then goes completely quiet for the rest of the game until the fourth, where she has another basket. That was a great game. That was a great game. Very back and forth. It kind of hurt the team that KP had some early fouls, but like Chelsea Gray was hooping. Chelsea Gray was here, hitting shots, looking good, looking like the player that they needed her to be if they wanted to have any chance to win the series. But the Aces, they were like smoking some bunnies. They were missing some easy layups. Kayla Thornton was crushing them on both sides of the ball, hitting corner threes, and like being super aggressive on the defensive end. Like, I did not have as much of an appreciation of Kayla Thornton until that game. Like, she's on the dog list. She's a dog.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And certainly can give. And then you have this bummer of a moment where Kia Stokes knocks heads with Jonquel, goes out of the game. She's concussed. And now you're losing a pretty key body.
Yeah.
Which, that was kind of the point where I was like, okay, Aces are going to go down 2-0 to New York here after fighting pretty hard to try to maintain it. But again, they couldn't stop Sabrina in the fourth quarter of game 2. New York goes up 2-0, and then you feel pretty confident about, the number one team in the W winning a game out of the 3. They only had to win 1.
Yeah.
And they were going to have game 5 at New York if they needed it. But you pretty much talked about the story of game 3. It was pretty pedestrian from New York's perspective. They could not make a shot in the second half. But we saw the Aces actually contain Sabrina. And then we go into game 4 today, and immediately they're unable to do that. Sabrina was awesome in the first quarter today.
Yeah, 3 for 3 from 3 in the first quarter. Immediately she said, okay, I'm not playing around this game. So yeah, Sabrina was doing great. Stewie was doing, all of the Liberty had a great series, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think there was really it didn't really feel like there was a weak link. Even Benija was playing good defense, not scoring a ton, but
she plays great defense. And that's the thing is, having Leonie and having Benija, who are both bigger, having all of them all being able to guard Asia. Asia.
Yeah, that was what we said today.
Right. They were Asia could not perform to her full capability in this series because it's Jonquel, Stewie, Leonie, and Benija were all guarding her. But then the Aces did not have enough pieces to guard Stewie.
Right.
Especially Stewie.
Right.
Stewie, she didn't hit that many threes, but more than I was expecting because they were all crowding in the paint.
Yeah.
And she was able to pull away because there were so many other bigs that could handle it. Which, I think it was a great series by Stewie for sure.
Oh, you understand how she won the MVP last year, even though we didn't watch the W last year. It makes sense that she's a 2-time MVP for a reason. She's so long, she's so impactful. It's really on display here. And Asia Wilson averaged just shy of 27 points per game, and her high watermark in the series was 24.
Yeah.
So she didn't go nuclear. They did a really, really good job at containing her. And at times, if you contain Asia and the way they contained KP, Jackie Young had some moments in the series where she was knocking down shots, but there just wasn't enough offensive juice.
I think they were containing Jackie Young more than Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum had some pretty good games. She scored over 15 in almost every game. But I think in the one game that Jackie scored 24, the one game Jackie does well, and the other pieces don't.
Right.
So,
right.
But that's how it goes. You can defend, you switch up who you defend, and they're not all getting hot at the same time.
Right. And it really showed today, this was just a pure shooting woes game for the Aces. It was a low scoring game today. 76-62. Felt like a closeout game. Aces, I believe they shot 7 for 30, but before the last 2 or 3 minutes where they made some, I think Tiff Hayes made a quick 3 and KP made a quick 3 when they were already out of the game. They were 4 for 26 at one point.
From 3.
And it's just you're shooting shots, and we already know that rebounding hadn't been a very strong point. Offensive rebounding, especially, hadn't been a strong point for the Aces. So when you're putting up threes that aren't going to go in, then New York is just going to take the advantage and get out on the break and make you pay. And they made him pay. And, like, I don't know. We didn't watch the last two Aces championship runs.
No.
So I'm not saying that the Aces, like, didn't show up in the series. I'm just not surprised of the result at the end of the day.
Sure.
Because New York is healthy. New York is tall and long. And they can shoot.
They'd all been pretty healthy all season.
Yeah.
Where the Aces had lost pieces here and there. I think New York has much more to play for than the Aces did.
Yeah.
They've never won a championship.
Right. Going for your third championship in a row is a little bit house money. A little bit.
Right. It kind of is. And, like, even Becky Hammon, I think last week, said she was like, and a bunch of people in the media have been saying that the Aces haven't had the same sort of drive and energy this season as they've had the past two seasons. And Becky Hammon said it in some press conference. She was like, I've been disappointed with the lack of drive in the team, something like that. She's like, they're in a bunch of commercials and they're not, whatever.
Let them make money.
Yeah,
Let them make money, Becky. Come on.
But it's kind of true. Like, this whole season has been not as good as the past two for the Aces, and I don't think they were, like, bad or disappointing by any means. It's like it's hard to be disappointing when you've won the past two championships. Like, they have been so good these past 3 years. And that's just so hard to win 3 championships in a row when everyone's been studying you and figuring, when your roster is largely the same.
Right.
The Liberty lost to you last year, so you know they're going to be, like, extra motivated to knock you out. So, no, it's not surprising to me. And I don't really think, obviously I'm sure the players are upset. But, like, I feel like it's not, like, as much soul-crushing as it could be for the Aces.
No, you're going to go back next year and, you know, even early as we're looking at protections in the expansion draft, like, you're going to have Asia, KP, Jackie, Chelsea. They're all going to be there again.
Yeah.
Like, you can just get back on the horse. But I think that the real question is going to be, is this it for Becky Hammond in Vegas? What does your gut say at this moment? Especially with everything that's going on. Yeah.
I think if nothing else was going on, then no. For sure, no. This is her third year, and she's already won 2 championships. So, in terms of basketball, I would say no, definitely not. And I think, for better or for worse, I think Asia likes her as a coach. So,
yeah,
there's that. In terms of the lawsuit stuff, I have no idea. They already kind of went through all this a couple years ago, and they let Becky Hammon keep her job. So,
yeah,
I think she sticks around.
My gut feels the opposite way, but again, I don't know if that's like if that would be short-sighted from a purely basketball perspective. Because she is obviously a very, very good coach.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The Vegas Aces are packing it up for the year. They're going to go get some much-needed rest. And they're going to go have to figure some things out. But we know at the very least, the New York Liberty returned to the finals for the second year in a row. A team that has never won a championship. They've been there 5 other times. They've lost every other time. And let's talk about their potential matchups as we look at the other series that is pushed to Game 5.
All right.
The Minnesota Lynx versus the Connecticut Sun. A series thus far that has gone Sun winning Game 1, Minnesota winning Games 2 and 3, and then the Sun coming out in a very impressive Game 4 win in Connecticut to force the Game 5 on the road in Minnesota. What are some of the things we're seeing in this series?
Well, this series has been pretty interesting. Marina Mabrey had 6 threes
In game one.
in game 1,
Yep.
which was incredible.
Starter Marina Mabrey
Started.
for the injured Ty Harris.
And they won that game because she was so hot. And of course you're going to win when, one player hits that many threes.
Not typical of the Sun to hit that many threes.
No.
They only won by 3 points. So they needed every single one of those threes.
It's true. But since then, Marina has been less impactful. Still, shooting a couple threes, but definitely not 6. Ty Harris, as you said, was hurt for the beginning of this series, but came back today in game 4. And I guess the Lynx were not ready for that to happen because Ty Harris had 20 points.
You denied her today. You said, Ty Harris? What's Ty Harris doing?
Okay, because I hadn't seen her.
She started today.
Yeah, because she hadn't played, I hadn't seen her. My whole thinking was you have to start Marina.
Right.
Because
You've already done this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But no, they started Ty Harris, and she had a great game.
Ty Harris made, let's double check, 4 out of 5 threes.
There you go.
Huge.
But how many threes did Marina have?
In the game today?
Yeah.
She made 2 out of 6.
Okay.
And in those middle games, she shot very poorly.
Right.
You live or die. Like, we talked about this in the preview. Like, the Sun are going to live or die by their ability to make some threes to keep up with Minnesota, who is a team that has led the league in percentage,
right.
3-point percentage. A team loaded with good 3-point shooters.
So the Lynx were able to shut down Marina. We'll see if they can do that again in game 5.
Sure.
Now that Ty Harris is also there. Because towards the end of this game, Ty and Marina were both playing at the same time. Which I imagine they'll do again, because why wouldn't you? So we'll see if the Lynx can do that. But overall, I mean, both of these teams have been playing incredible defense. Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas are just like incredible defensive people.
Defensive people.
Defensive players.
These are the defensive people.
I wish, obviously, Dejanay Carrington was the most improved player of the year. I wish she further improves next year and gets good at shooting threes.
Yes, I agree.
And it seems like her and Marina are like really good friends now.
They do seem pretty close. And Dejanay impressed me today. She had a couple laser passes that were awesome. Like, you got to check the highlight reel of today's game 4, because Dejanay, she showed why she is this defensive menace, and like, she's very shifty around the hoop. Like, she has an impressive ability to get there and to score. But I agree. Like, you are a guard, you are a defensive guard. If you can add a, league average 3 to your game.
Yeah.
She could be most improved again.
Exactly.
Like, I am very, very impressed with her, and she's very important in this series. She was always going to be, considering, how offensively clean the Minnesota team is. And just to walk it back to what we saw in those middle games from my perspective, it's been pretty chippy. There's been some near fights between Marina and Nafisa. There are a lot of loose balls, a lot of jump balls, a lot of scrums where they're 3 or 4 players are on the ground fighting over a loose ball. They seem to very much not like each other. These two teams.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I feel like, if they're going to start Ty Harris again, because it worked today. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the problem with today, because the games that Minnesota won, there's not really a ton to take away outside of the fact that, in that game too, Minnesota was able to win without Nafisa Collier going crazy. Like the Sun did a really really decent job at denying her easy buckets. But if the Sun should have been able to win that game if Nafisa Collier is not going to score 20 plus points. And then in game 3, she figured out her offense, scored 26, and it was an easy win for Minnesota. And then today, Fee pretty much did the lion's share of the scoring for Minnesota, but you had issues from other players not being able to make a shot. Bridget Carlton was a Marina Maybury 1 for 10 from 3, or 2 for 11. Very bad day at the office for Bridget. And Courtney Williams got into foul trouble. And had to be pulled for Natisha Heineman, who...
She can't be doing that.
No, she can't be.
I mean, Natisha did well enough, absolutely. But no, Courtney Williams needs to be playing. And
if you haven't seen it already, check out the Natisha Heineman buzzer beater. This was a day where there were 2 crazy buzzer beaters, one that counted, one that didn't count. Look, see if you can find the Jackie Young near buzzer beater in the Aces game 4. But Natisha Heineman's buzzer beater, I think, was even more impressive because she had somebody on her, and she was on a crazy angle, and it went in, and it's a moment where it felt like that was going to break the Sun because it put Minnesota up 50-43 going into halftime, and the Sun had just done a really good job at getting it to a 4-point game. They looked like they were imposing themselves, and then you have Natisha Heineman making this crazy 3 coming off the bench. You're like, it's just Minnesota just has it. But then we start the second half, and Minnesota's only able to score 32 points in 2 quarters. And I saw something for the first time from Connecticut that I feel like I haven't seen. They push the pace so well to the point that, and this was all credit to AT, because AT took command. She said, I am going to get out and run, and you're going to have to keep up with me. And she did.
Good.
And I greatly appreciate that. And that's why you have these open shots by Ty Harris going down, because you're able to get space, because the defense of Minnesota isn't able to set up. And they knocked down their shots, and Minnesota didn't, and that's why we're going to Game 5. But this has all been about Connecticut controlling the pace of the game. But if Connecticut can be like, I want to go faster than you, instead of I want to make you go I'm going to make you go really slow, then that could be a new trick for the team.
Well, I don't know if this is the time to try out new stuff.
It worked.
But I guess it worked. No, I was very sure that the Lynx were going to win this game, and I took a little nappy in the 3rd quarter, and I woke up and I was like, huh?
Yeah, it was happening? Game 4th quarter started, and it was I think it was a 12 points more for the Sun.
Yeah.
A 12-point run to take this significant lead over Minnesota, and Kristen was like, what's happening? Meanwhile, I'm trying to watch the Phillies, who were blowing the game and then taking the lead back, and then blowing the game and then taking the lead back, and I'm like, what the heck's going on here? Yeah. I'm super distracted.
I think so like you talked about for the Lynx, I think Alana Smith and Bridget Carlton both have been very inconsistent in this series. They need to get better.
Alana Smith, I'll give her credit on the defensive end, but yes, on the offensive end, she's been...
For sure, defensively. I think Kayla McBride had a bad game today.
She's had a pretty quiet series.
She had 12 points, 11 points, 13 points. Which I guess is less than her average.
It is.
But not
She's not sniping. She's not shooting a high volume of 3. they're almost relying on Bridget to be the one
Yeah.
that does that.
Right, which I hope they can give Kayla more looks. Today she only had 5 points. So, yeah, Kayla needs to have a better game. I've honestly been loving watching Maisha Hines-Allen. I think she's been doing incredible.
Didn't play a lot today.
No, I wish she did. Like, defensively, I think she needs to play in Game 5. I think we'll see that from her. This thing doesn't say minutes.
She only played 5 minutes.
Oh, it does. Okay, yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah. It was kind of strange because I do feel like they were getting... Like, I don't know what the plus minus is of Maisha has been over the other games. But I feel like she's been good.
I think she has been good.
And giving them a different look.
Yep.
Because she's so much
give
stockier than
Nafisa
them.
give Nafisa a break from guarding Alyssa Thomas for like a couple minutes.
Well, Nafisa's trying to guard everybody, and she's defensive player of the year. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
looking at Game 5 at Minnesota, who do you have winning Game 5?
I feel like this game was closer to, and don't get on me, Sun fans. I feel like this game was closer to an anomaly than it was to what I expect to see in Game 5.
Yeah,
It felt a little different.
To me, this is like the best possible game that the Sun could have played.
Yeah, I mean, they scored 92 points. That's not common for the Sun.
Right. And Lynx kind of had a horrible game.
And they scored 82 points.
Right. So you kind of balance them out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I think the Lynx will take it at home in Game 5.
I hope that the level of play in Game 5 is, continues to be strong.
It's going to be crazy.
I think that, obviously, I just said something pretty negative about the Sun, and I feel a little bad about it because AT deserves so much credit.
No, it's not.
For pushing this to 5.
AT, Dewana Bonner, Dejanay, incredible. Such good players.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just discrediting Ty Harris.
Well, you definitely did today.
I definitely did.
You're discrediting Marina.
Yeah.
It's okay.
She just kind of annoys me every time she fouls somebody, and it's like, I couldn't have done that. And then every single time the announcers are like, that's that Jersey girl in her. I'm like, oh, can we stop?
Okay, let's just stop.
It will depend on Marina and Ty. How many threes are they gonna shoot?
Mm-hmm. But I think the other important factor to note is that Bree Jones is very hurt. She is dealing with the ankle injury that she
didn't play.
She played 14 minutes, but it was a lot of limping and she wasn't really good in the first 3 games of the series. She wasn't, outstanding today, but she was pretty okay. But I do feel like, it's tough because Bree was really good this season, and just hasn't really given them what they were hoping for in the playoffs. And, we being 76ers fans know what it's like to have an injured player in the playoffs. I mean, it's different than AT being hurt, because then the Sun would really have no chance. Mm-hmm. But Bree Jones is one of your 3 best offensive players, and she's not around in the volume that she needs to be. We know she's one of their bigger players. She can help them score in the paint, where they've had, varying success throughout the series. But I do feel like she's pretty hurt, and I don't think she's going to be better for Game 5. She's going to have to try to play through the injury. But I just don't know what she's going to give you. And I'm kind of nervous that, if things revert the other way and you're not getting, such clutch shooting from Ty Harris, then I don't know how you could expect the Sun to run away with the game like they did today. I think if they're going to win, it's going to be because Minnesota shoots themselves out of it again. But I just feel like regression to the mean, we're going to see more game 2, game 3 shooting out of Minnesota than we did out of them today. And I think Cheryl Reeve is going to be very good at, correcting the issues, the turnover problem, which was one of the other reasons that Minnesota lost. They lost the turnover battle by like 4 or 5 today. And there were possessions where Fee was getting the ball in the paint and getting triple teamed and getting the ball stripped. So I think they're going to look for more open looks and take the corner threes. I think Bridget Carleton's going to shoot better. And I do still expect Minnesota to win in 5. But I will say, the devil's advocate, if Connecticut wins this game, we will have a first-time WNBA champion in either the Liberty or the Sun, whoever takes it home.
Yeah, that's very
Which
fun.
will be cool.
That's fun. I like that.
So, it's a concession for, as much as we like the Lynx, we talk about how much we like the Lynx, or players on the Lynx.
Well, they've been inconsistent, so can they
find their consistency?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's our take. I know I mentioned that we're going to be away for the start of the finals, but unless it's a sweep, which would be pretty lame, we will be here for at least, we'll be home game 4 of the finals.
Well, that was assuming that both series were done today.
No, it's either way. The finals start on Thursday, regardless of.
I thought they were gonna start on. Oh no, okay, fine.
Yeah, so get ready for the WNBA finals on Thursday, the 11th or the 10th. I don't know what the date would be, because on ESPN it just says Thursday, and then the next game will be Sunday, October 13th. So,
well, my thoughts going into the finals. I was assuming when we were doing predictions that the Lynx/Sun would be the one that goes to 4 games.
right.
And the Liberty Aces would go to 5.
Yes.
So the Liberty would be on less rest
Right.
than the, say, Lynx or Sun.
Not going to be the case.
Not the case anymore. Now the Liberty have time to rest, to prepare, to get more practice in. And I think that really is a huge advantage. And they have home court advantage now, no matter what.
Right.
Which the Aces wouldn't have had.
No.
So that's really good for them. The New York crowd is really showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, Spike Lee is really showing up.
Talking about Spike Lee. No, Jason Sudeikis is showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. With his drip.
So I think that's advantage New York.
I certainly feel the same way. I do feel like, we talked about the size of New York. If it's Minnesota, I think Minnesota has good size to counter New York.
They do.
But
I don't know. They do.
Yeah.
My thing is, which I talked to John about, is the Liberty have been playing fast this whole postseason.
Yeah.
The Lynx have had to slow down a lot playing the Sun.
Which can be useful.
Not in any way that has made it easier for them, because I think this has been more difficult for the Lynx, actually, because of the Sun's great defense. But whichever team comes out of this is going to have to try to speed it up again. Because just having Leonie Phoebish, Stewie, Sabrina, who all are great fast break players. They're just are fast.
Right.
So I think that's also advantage New York. I don't know if the Lynx, say, will be able to as quickly turn it back to fast mode in the finals.
1.25 speed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We will see. We don't know who the opponent's going to be, but we know New York will be there.
Yeah.
And we're excited to see. Like I said, Game 5 coming to you on Tuesday before the final starts on Thursday. it's kind of surreal that we are at the end of our first season covering the W. I went back and listened to our first podcast that we recorded, and I was like, man, some of these
I don't want to do that.
Some of these takes are a little goofy. Some of these things, like, we couldn't even name all the teams.
No, we had no idea.
We've come so far.
Yes.
So far. So
we all have come so far.
Yes, all of us have attacked our baseline.
Yes.
The baseline has been attacked. Rebecca Lobo attacking the baseline. So I do want to thank you all for that, for following with us. Obviously, we're going to have, off-season pods to talk about the wrap-up of the year and what that looks like before we get into other random stuff this off-season. So we'll save that for now. But I do just want to say, again, thank you. If you would like to connect with us, please do. We will talk about your email. I know, Jay, I mentioned you. We will answer your question about Unrivaled, who our Unrivaled 4 would be. Right now, don't know who I would say. Still need to do a little research on that. I'm just going to see the end of the playoffs here. Anyway, if you'd like to also send us an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on our Twitter at ATBpod_. Kristen, do you have anything for our folks at home before we send this one off?
No.
Okay. Well, we will be back after the finals to celebrate either the Liberty, the Lynx, or the Sun. But until then, Kristen, what are we going to do to the baseline? I'm looking at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you again for being here, and we will talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.
Your dining room is the heart of your home, where meals are shared and memories are made. At Ashley, you'll find affordable dining furniture in a range of classic and modern styles. Ashley small space sets and extendable tables are designed to fit beautifully into any space, from cozy breakfast nooks and kitchens to formal dining areas fit for a feast. And with mix-and-match seating options, everyone at your table gets the perfect seat. At Ashley, style is served. Shop in-store or online today.
Bingo.
All right, Phil, we're recording now, so it's live. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
Did I say that? I wouldn't say that to my son. Man, I mean, come on, man.
Just go. This isn't CBS.
All right, be quiet for a few seconds. Why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast? Well, a couple things. One, if you like to see sons pick on their father, this might be the place. If you want to see a place where the father just kicks the out of his son, this would be the place. What do you like about it, Matt?
Ditto. Father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football that we love and share and appreciate together. And, hey, it's an extension of what we did, right? Growing up, I was able to watch my father play football, then obviously watch him as a broadcaster. And then he taught me the game of football and share the wisdom that he learned throughout his playing career. And, hey, sometimes we're full of it and sometimes we actually know a thing or two.
Well, we do a lot of research. At least I do. You're a little spotty, but you hang in there.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love doing this and it's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out wherever your podcasts are available on the Believe Network. Appreciate it. See ya.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.